Hello and thank you for tuning in. So today I'm making this versatile part hairpiece to be used for a 3-part hair weave that I'm doing. The supplies I use are some sewing thread, silver eyeliner, as well as some sewing needles, hair clips, and measuring tape. Of course, your doll head and a dome cap is needed. I use this Japanese style dome mesh cap. I really like this one because it is very airy and it seemed very durable, especially for the amount of hair that I want to be using on this install. I used about 3.5 bundles and it was a mix of different types of hair. The first step after placing it on the doll head was to outline the parts that we're going to be cutting out for the leave out in this part. Now she's going to have a middle part as well as a left and a right side part. So you want to outline those on the mesh cap so you know not to sew in those parts. And you also want to keep in mind that this material does stretch. So after I outlined them, I did try it on my head to see how much it would stretch to see if that was going to be enough leave out for the person I'm making this for. Now I have done this weave on her hair before and I knew exactly how much leave out I had and where to part it, so I went with that for this one. But I would advise you to go ahead and measure the person's head if you're not making it for yourself. After I outlined it, I just cut open a Forever 21 bag and taped it to her head so that when I put the cap on, it's easier to see and to sew through. The lengths of hair I'm using are 2 bundles of 18-inch hair, a bundle of 16-inch hair, and 1 bundle of 14-inch hair on top. Now I'm sewing it onto the cap, and I am sewing this by hand. The type of technique I'm using is a knot stitch or a cross stitch. This will be a single knot stitch that I'm doing. And the way that I'm sewing it onto the cap is from ear to ear in a horseshoe shape, so it's going to be sloping in the back of the head. And I take it just a little bit higher than the ear before I fold it over and go back down into the other side. I am using the flip over method. The reason that I like to use this method is because it gives you more fullness around the face. It also helps you preserve the hair so that you don't have to cut the wefts and you won't have so much shedding. So now I'm just flipping it over and I'm doing that knot stitch again. This is a very common stitch that's used in hair weaving, and it's very common because it's very reliable, it's durable, it keeps the hair in place, and it lasts very long. So I just wrap the thread around the needle after I put it through the hair and then pull that needle through so it'll lock in place. Another thing to keep in mind is not to go through the weft on this hair. On any of your tracks, don't go through the weft, go under the track so that you won't have any extra shedding or mess up that track. And once I finish with that track, I'm just adding on another piece there, adding it exactly where I finished off, still maintaining a little bit of space in between the tracks for now. As you see with that knot that I have there before the thread that I just started is pretty thick. I was just making sure that I locked it in place. Since I was reaching the end of my thread, I wanted to make sure that it doesn't come loose the whole time that this is on her head. This is a piece that we're going to be using for quite some time, so I want to make sure that it's sealed in and sewn in correctly. And I want to also tap into why I chose to do this piece instead of just giving her a normal 3-part weave. So the thing with that is she wanted to be able to cut this hair into layers and also be able to use this hair again, because this is some pretty premium hair. It is pricey, so we want to be able to get the most that we can out of it. So I suggested to her that we make this piece, we can cut it, we can layer it, and whenever she wants to take it off, we can uninstall the whole thing instead of taking it out track by track. That way, we know exactly where it was cut. We don't have to do anything with that. When she wants to put it back in, we just sew this piece back on. And this is where the clips come into play. You can use it to lock in exactly how you want that track to lay and then start sewing from there. I did leave a good amount of space in between these tracks the first time through because that last bundle of 18-inch hair, I didn't know I had it until I got like halfway done. So what I did was go back in between the spaces of the tracks that I'm sewing in now and add more hair in between that to give her the maximum fullness. She really wanted something that was going to be full. I recently done this install in her hair before, but I didn't make a piece. We just sewed it in. And after that, she did let me know that one of the biggest things that she wanted was fullness. She wanted to add more tracks. So I wanted to make sure that this piece was going to be as full as it can be, and she's going to be really happy with it, so we don't have to make any changes after this. So I'm just continuing to go. If a track ends, I just continue on that same lane that it's in, on that same track, and keep going in the same direction at the same angle. Just keep it going, keeping the same closeness, the same distance between each track, and just going like that. Like that space in between that track and the one below it was filled in with another track of hair. And as you see, this stitch is pretty easy to do. I kind of did it a little weird just because of the angle that I'm sitting at. Normally, you know, she's on the table or something, but for this video, I just put her in my lap so that I could really zoom in and everything. I lost my selfie stick, so I had to make it work, you know? So as you see here, I kind of went over that line that I created for her leave out, but it's okay. I'm not going to take that whole track out and re-sew it. I'm just going to realign that part with the leave out and just make sure that she's still gonna have the right amount to cover that up. So I just relined it and there we go. So I just wanted to show you what that stitching looks like once you get it down and you keep those lines smooth. As you see, the strings aren't very visible. And here I reached the end of a track, and I did let you know that I don't want to cut too much. I want to prevent as much shedding. So what I'm going to do is fold it under and sew it to the lace that's between this track and the one below it. Voila, just like that. Now I didn't sew it to the track under, I really sewed it to the, I'm gonna say lace, the mesh in between that, and it got us this type of stitch. Lays very flat, and it's gonna give us that even more fullness around the face, which is very important to me and my friends. So seamless, 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 seamless. More of the stitching just to show you how thorough it is. As you see, the amount of spacing between each stitch is relatively the same. You want to keep that continuity throughout this piece. Just for me, because I'm kind of a perfectionist, but really, like, you want to have a good product, and you see how you don't really see the thread there? I really like that, and it moves. Love it. Love this stitch, so I would definitely use it. Now I've sewn in the perimeters of all of the parts that we're going to be cutting out, and now you can see we have those three parts in the front. Exactly how that stitching looks. Side, middle, side. You see how you really can't see it, and it's going to lay really flat. It's kind of poofy right now because it hasn't been washed or treated or anything, but it's going to lay very flat with the least amount of thread showing. Once we get her real hair out, her natural hair in those parts, you're not going to see any of that. So now we've reached the final stretch, the last part where we're going to be sewing in those final tracks that are going to give us the movement we need in order to flip it either way. I'm going to be laying these tracks in vertically. They're going to be going straight forward, the same direction that the perimeters of the parts that I did are. So I just wanted you to see how stitching them straight back looks and the type of movement that you get from it. As you see with that stitching, you're able to move it with ease. It lays very flat. Doing that flip over method hides that immediately. Now there's going to be a little bit of leave out in front of this, so you're not going to see any of that, and you still have that fullness there that you really want, and it can go either way. It has a lot of movement with that type of stitch, doing this versatile type of install on someone. You want to make sure that it's able to move as it needs to. And here's our final piece before washing and styling it. It's very thick and full. The hair is a little dirty, so it does look a little greasy, but I am very pleased with this result so far. It's very full as I like it. The way that I laid the tracks, I have that natural layering that I wanted, and it moves just the way that I want it to. So I just washed and blow dried the hair, and I just wanted to show you the parts that we're going to be cutting out. That is going to be our left side part. We're going to cut that band off, as well as the middle and the other side. If you can really see, you hardly see the stitching in there, just those little lines. Beautiful, going to be covered up right away. So I just went through after I cut the layers in and lightly curled it. I wanted to show you what the hair looked like straightened, so you can really see how full this piece is going to be. As you see, this hair is also beautiful, so that's why we want to be able to reuse it again. And this is our final piece with our layers cut after the curls have been combed out. Lots of movement, lots of body, and it lays beautifully. So now I'm just giving you more hair porn. If you would like to see this installed on my friend's hair, please make sure you tune in to the video coming up next, part 2, installing this 3-part weave.